Me?
Well, you're the one who always does it.
Hi, we're the Tomlins. Welcome to Autism in Reality.
Hi, so today we wanted to talk to you a lot about the battle for our marriage over the last 28 years since the diagnosis of autism and the strain that it's put on us as husband and wife and as a family.
Yeah, it's it's often when you get a diagnosis or a challenge or having a disabled kid and or that your family goes through a lot of emotions. It goes through a lot of phases, and certainly in our relationship we're no different. We had some early on things that that happened. Just accepting. Is this real? Just all the things, which we knew from birth. I mean, Corey was, when he first came out, we knew right away there's something was different, something was going on that we didn't really understand or really know. And it put strain on us, mainly because, I was still playing and traveling a lot, and just during the season, right at the beginning of the season, really, and it was pretty much things got really dumped onto Janet during that time, and I don't know if at the time certainly we tried to deal with the reality of what was going on, not knowing what was going on.
Well, we were we were still learning about being married ourselves, mm-hmm. and adjusting to being a married couple and forming what our relationship as husband and wife was going to look like in the beginning. And so it's hard being newlyweds, and it's hard being newly parents, but it's extremely hard being newlyweds, newly parents of a special needs child.
Yeah, that's, and it's I think there's a lot of for us being so young at that time, so much really thrown onto us, and really our life really was just a lot going on, especially me playing in big leagues, and the stress and the trying to handle the pressures of performance in there, and and then
and the pressures of appearance too, being the athlete, and society would think that you guys are living the life. It's the charmed life. You're living the dream. And if we were in a dream, it was a nightmare for sure.
Yeah, it was just like, how can this be? And I'm just like everyone that goes through the situations, you're always questioning, the why, the how, all those things, until you can really live it really for a while before you can ever really start to breathe with acceptance. And I know that we struggled early on, mainly because of me, for various reasons. And I think as a man, going through a lot of phases. Like I said, a career I was trying to hold on to. During that time, I was just developing some injuries, so it was already kind of, if you think about it, more stress, self-worth getting attacked because of, can I perform?
Self-worth was your self-esteem through all this was, I mean, you could not find your significance as a ball player, as a husband, and now as a father. I mean, you struggled hard.
Yeah, it was difficult because it felt like everything was kind of just getting pulled away, losing the grip, so to speak. And
I think you felt like you couldn't do anything right at this point, like your career, you'd gotten hurt, so you were a pitcher, and so, you felt like, okay, I can't even do that anymore, and now we have this special needs child with autism that we don't know anything about, and now I'm not even a good parent.
Yeah, it's great, a lot of things that were greatly affected through that, and I think it did put a lot of stress on us, because I kind of withdrew in a sense of, to myself, pulling back, but kind of taking that, we'll have to engage, but it was just more self-absorbed in the sense of trying to deal with things and cope with things, And I'm a fighter in the sense of when challenged with obstacles and or situations and things, I kind of go into warrior mode in the sense of by myself. I can handle this by myself and kind of forget the total surroundings of things that were going on. And it was certainly a learning process. And I tell you that for us, I firmly believe we've been married going on 32 years now. And we were just in year 3 then when we had Coy, and then through the whole process of starting. So we would not be where we are today without our faith in Christ.
Mm-mm.
And
It's not humanly possible to handle what we handle,
So it's not
and
without,
stay together.
because I think because of our commitment to the Lord, that commitment was the rope we held on to when the strain of our relationship
Started to pull apart.
because of the circumstances started to get hammered at, and pulled away.
Right.
We were able to hold on to the Lord, who is the center of our life, and then He was able to start to work through the necessary reality of our life, and with Coy and together, and just all the things that we were going through to start to chip away at the things that were unnecessary, mainly within me, to get me to understand about what I needed to do.
Right.
And,
Right. So I've always, over the years, likened our relationship as like a cord of 3. And so we were braided together with, of course, Randy, myself, and then the Lord, the cord of 3. And I just feel like during this time, with everything we were dealing with, being away from parents, being being in the professional athlete limelight, and the stress of the arm injury, and the unknowing future of where you were going to be, what were you going to do, how were you going to provide, that we just came unraveled. And when Randy mentioned that the only thing that was holding us together was that cord of the Lord, and that's really true. I mean, I feel like He was the center cord, and I was swinging one way, and Randy was swinging another way. And I mean, we struggled for a good five, maybe even 10 years. But part of our struggles were definitely related to the circumstances that we were in, because Randy was gone 90% of the time. And so I was dealing with, being a newlywed, being a new parent, and then we had Ellison. And so I had all these things happening that I wasn't even probably old enough to handle myself. And I felt like when you would come back home, you would come back in as a bystander, sort of judging the situation because you'd been so far removed from the situation. And, you didn't have the understanding that I had of things, because I was with Coy 24/7, and you really, truly, you were not.
Yeah,
and that put so much tension between us, because you were coming home, ready to have your wife and ready to have, that comfort and your bride and your wife. And number one, I was exhausted. Number two, I just wasn't there for you. I had left you aside because the needs were so great with Coy, and then I had baby Ellison, and I was single parenting. I couldn't be available for you. I shut down, and that caused you to even shut down more, because you had such an internal struggle going on with, failure. You felt such like a failure in every area of your life. And I'll tell you, it was a time where Satan, he got in there. He took the smallest little crack and got in, and he about had the victory.
Yeah, I agree. It was very, very difficult trying to. You think about our whole world, kind of from every angle at that part, kind of got blown up.
Yeah.
In a sense with that, and I think too, as we look back on it, we can certainly see how God held us together, but also we can see how the enemy just loves to come in and with families, with Christian families, and try to drop bombs in certain areas. And that not that Coy was a was a bomb, but it was certainly used in that way, because what the enemy wants to attack us in every way, and certainly with any circumstances, he tries to feed our minds and get us drawn away from the reality of truth, and the fact that that the Lord is in control, that nothing happens outside of anything that He doesn't know or knew was going to happen. And I think that we often don't look from above His perspective in our circumstances, and we get caught up too much in it, looking around. That then, of course, we know that when we get our eyes off of God and start putting them on ourselves and what's happening to me, what's happening to us, what's happening to our son, all these things, you tend to, it's easily to get drawn away.
Right. And, by nature, you're a reader, almost like a scholar. So, you like to read things, and you get a lot of your information from, reading things. And, we didn't have a lot of information on autism. And so there was nothing really for us to educate ourselves, to help ourselves, and to help our marriage during this time. And so I do think that Satan had attempted to use the situation as a weapon against us. And I just think, that we had that third chord, and God said, no, that I have great plans for you, and I have great plans for your marriage. And you're never going to believe the great plans I have for your family. And I don't think we truly did start to believe that and see that until much later down the line, maybe 15 years down the line with Coy, as we started to see his impact in other people and the impact we would have as a family.
Yeah, and I think it took that early time in his life. As we were growing, again, we were very young in that sense, and just to really, our faith was being challenged.
Yes.
From and then now our family's being attacked. My career was at the end, so it was being attacked and pulled away. So everything really, it's a miracle we're together,
Right.
and I credit this, it's from her that kept us together. It was, there were times, I have family history of depression and things like that, and it was easy for me just to slide down and withdraw, because that's nature, my nature. I think, oftentimes we've always kidded growing up, I'm the one with autism.
Coy says that all the time.
Because I don't like crowds in the sense of things like that, and I would easily want to just kind of shy back from anything. But I think the reason God put us together is because we're both fighters, and I think after that period of time that He was working in my heart to greatly clean me in many ways of things from past, from my own inadequacies in the sense as growing up as a young man, and then rebuilding me so that I could be there for her, as well as understand that how to be a father, because I didn't have my history there. I didn't know my real dad. He left when I was very, very young. So I didn't know him. And then my father that I had now, though, is my whole life. There was some relationship, but he, I never had a good example of how to treat, or how to lead a family, how to certainly be there for your wife. And so it was more of, crash course.
Yeah.
And the lumps and the bumps and the hurts, the tears, and God promises to turn turn that around, to
so if you're wondering, we wondered all the time. You just said it just a second ago, how we truly stayed together through all this, and I think it came down to the mindset that we had. that number one, we've always believed that divorce is not an option, that it doesn't honor God. And number two, we didn't believe in blaming anybody for the diagnosis of autism. So we knew that God had given us Coy, and we knew that we had a purpose in being Coy's parents. And we certainly weren't going to be able to fulfill that purpose if we couldn't even keep our husband-wife relationship as the priority. And that was the hard thing. And we never had the privilege of being newlyweds and being able to go out on dates. We've never had the privilege of dating each other since we've had Coy, because we've never had suitable babysitters. It's a situation where we couldn't just call in a babysitter and say, hey, we're going to go out for a couple hours, or we're going to go away for a weekend. Coy's needs were so great that I never had security or peace about ever leaving him, and so I didn't. And so we knew that we were going to have to be better together, and that we were going to have to overlook and really pay the ultimate sacrifice and just try to find other means of meeting, each other's needs, knowing that really at this time in our life, the priority was going to need to be Coy, because his needs were so...
It was great. I mean, obviously it was just the, I think we're both in the same mindset of growing up, well, he's got this, but we're gonna find the cure.
Yeah.
we're gonna find out, how to get over this, in a sense. And but the Lord kept showing us that it was through him that was the only way, and then I think quickly, progressively, is when we started to be more determined in the sense of raising Coy, in the sense, just like you would raise your own children to love the Lord, and that to follow his standards for raising children and for loving each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think through that we kind of became accustomed to and really began to understand what sacrifice is.
Right. Unconditional.
Yes. And true, I think in lots of ways, it's because of Coy and the situation we've gone through, and the rest, and our other two children, that we've learned that it's through them it brought us closer.
Right.
Because eventually, if you're committed to each other and you love each other and you love the Lord, okay, he will always turn you back towards what's important and to him. And we, me especially, began to see that, it's it was the stability of her in my life, and then us together, that was the only way to make it. Right.
And I do think too that because you missed so many of those early appointments and the early information, and because you were absent for most of all of it, I don't think your understanding of autism was deep at that point, because you didn't, because we didn't have information, and because you weren't around, you weren't available. But I do remember one important thing where I think was like a turnaround for us, and you're going to remember this well. We had taken a family vacation to Myrtle Beach with my entire family, my mom and dad, my brothers, all the children were there, and we arrived at Myrtle Beach, and we immediately took the kids to the beach. Well, within 2 hours, there was an accident on the beach with Coy, playing in a baseball game, a wiffle ball game, with strangers, with just other families on the beach. We didn't even know them. Anyway, Coy broke his leg in two, and we had to go to the trauma unit in Myrtle Beach. But we didn't know Coy's leg was broken in two, because Coy's actions just, he wasn't acting like his leg was broken in two, by no means.
Well, you said his leg was broken, but it was like, there's no way it's broken, because if it was broken, he'd be screaming.
In pain.
He'd be screaming around, and these things, but he just wasn't doing it. He cried for a minute or two, but it was like, nah, he's just,
He's hurt his knee, he's got a bruise, he's fine. And I insisted, no, there's something wrong. He's not wanting to walk on his leg. We need to go to the emergency room, and we did. And then we had a little bit of a spat on the way, because through this time, I mean, we're different. I mean, we're different even in our parenting, skills. I lean more towards protecting Coy, and I'm going to get into that in another video where I didn't allow him to do anything, because I was the one always having to go to the doctors with him and go to the hospital with him, and I knew how hard that was, so I just decided that he wasn't going to do anything or have any kind of fun that would create any kind of harm. And so, but whereas Randy, you were always more, no, he needs to play, let him fall, he's fine, get up, be tough, the typical dad approach. And so, I remember the fight we had, that you thought I was babying him, and, we had just gotten to Myrtle Beach and he needed to get up and this was ridiculous.
Sure.
But we went because, I do think that you were seeing that there was
something wrong.
It
was
let's just go get him checked.
Just like, as kids played, I played brothers, friends, stuff. We used to play football and all this stuff, backyard, you get hit, you can't, it hurts. Okay,
Yeah.
but it'd be fine. But, he just was showing it was just lingering.
Right.
Lingering, so it was necessary and the right thing to do.
Well, it was the right thing to do to calm me down.
Yeah.
You really knew that you had two choices. Either I'm going to take her and my little boy to the emergency room, or I ain't getting any sleep, and it's probably not going to end well. So we went, not knowing what to expect, other than we knew there was going to be some kind of an injury. And so we were sitting there, and we had even stopped on our way to the emergency room to get a pack of Skittles to help him to even get through the emergency room door. And so we're sitting in there, and they get us in, and the doctor comes in, and he's looking at Coy, and he's feeling around Coy's leg, and he pushes on Coy's foot, and Coy's just eating the Skittles. And the ER doctor down there says, well, let's just take an x-ray and see what's going on. Well, we knew that was going to be trouble, but we also knew that we needed to do it. So they allowed you to go in and put on the vest and physically hold Coy down.
I got in a chair and put Coy in my lap, and I was able to hold him, because he's not gonna, he wouldn't lay on the table to get one, and they brought in a machine, portable machine. He was able to get the x-rays done, because
and we went back to
we were holding him down.
Right. When we had to do that, at this point, we're doing that for every doctor's visits. We're physically holding him down, and dentist, anything like that, because he's, probably 12 years old. He's petrified at this point in his life with all that he'd been through. And so we were really, when I say casually sitting in the ER room.
Yeah, we're sitting there like, Coy's sitting on the edge of the table. He's just kind of wondering what's going on. He's trying to talk about, or jabbering about everything, and not crying, not showing any signs of discomfort, pain, and that. And and the doctor walks in.
I can see that like it was yesterday, the doctor's face.
I can. Doctor walks in like he's ready to deliver some news. He opens the door and goes to walk in, and he's getting ready to speak, and he just stops.
He's white as a ghost. Like, I thought he was going to throw up. He
stops and looks at Coy. And Coy's sitting there swinging his legs back and forth. Like, he's just there for a regular checkup, And he just said, son, okay, you should not be doing this. You should be screaming, crying, or everything right now.
In excruciating pain and shock.
Yeah.
And shock.
He told, then he commenced to tell us and show us the x-rays. So your son's legs broken too. It's a quarter-inch gap between the bones. There's no question that he should be feeling something right now.
Yeah.
And then commenced to tell us about what was needed to fix it.
Yeah, pins and surgery. But it was at that point, Randy, where I really think, because that was probably the first situation you had been through with us, that I think the autism really just kind of hit you like, there's something here.
Yeah, I think it was always there, again, because of my career trying to play, I'm gone. You're there by yourself, having to go through all the doctor visits and the testing and things like that. So when I came home, it was like reliving for you, because you're basically saying, this is what's going on, and you've held emotions in because you had to be for Coy. And then when I get there, walking in, and you're I would say dumping, but you're
Dumping,
you know,
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like
Right.
letting it out,
Right.
and then it's like, I'm like, whoa,
Right.
kind of feeling like that, and it was never a not realizing, I think, but I think it was more of the acceptance, but it's stronger of acceptance. It was more of a determined go, okay, this is, and enough of this. This is real. What are we gonna do?
Right.
How are we gonna live the rest of our life, and how are we gonna take care of this
Right.
this boy that God's given us, and we're responsible for him and love him greatly, and how are we going to help him live?
Right.
With
Right.
what he has, because
Right.
this is not right.
Right. Right.
And just it also encouraged, brought on some more fears, because if he doesn't feel pain the same way, and there were multiple things that he doesn't feel, think, or receive things the same way that we do.
Right.
And it's more of, okay, we got to find these out so we can help him cope with the world that's around.
Right.
Right. And then I think that's where, at the point where I agree, I think it's the point where I said, the only way we're going to ever reach Coy is to quit trying to make him live in our world.
Yep.
And we got to live in his.
Yeah.
We got to understand him. And then I think it was kind of from that point on is where we started to
restructure
and kind of get a good handle on things.
Right.
Best we could, because each day was a new day with him growing and everything. So, but I think it was you're right. I think it was one of the most physical points of reality
for you.
That
Yeah.
hit. And then progressive. It was. Because then around that time, I had stopped playing.
Yeah.
I had started to coach college baseball at Liberty. So
And I think too that up to that point, we didn't know anybody else who had a special needs child. It was us. And so we knew plenty of young couples. We knew plenty of newlyweds. We were involved in a newlywed Bible study. And so, we were even teaching a newlywed Bible study.
Yeah, to ask people for help was I would say useless, because many of our friends prayed for us and were there as a counseling session, but nobody understood what we were going through. Nobody could. When we say, okay, when we go to a restaurant, okay, we have to plan for what's going to happen.
We have to try to plan.
There was a period of time every time we went to eat, Coy threw up.
Yeah.
There were restaurants in Pittsburgh that still have us on the blacklist.
28 years later. But what I was
the,
thinking with that too is that, when you would call home and I would be, dumping on what I had to do, you couldn't visually see that. You, in your mind, you're like, you just need to grow up and handle this. Other wives handle this. You're not the only mom of two. And, because you didn't have an understanding, because you didn't have a visual. And I do think after the situation with the broken leg, which within a month after that, we had whooping cough. So it was like back-to-back situations with Coy that I think your eyes got open to, like it hit you for the first time that my wife needs me. I couldn't have held Coy down on that table for them to take the x-rays, and you saw that. Yeah. You saw that, we didn't really know if his leg was broken, and we were fighting about what should we do? Should we take him or should we not take him? And you saw that you needed to be there and you needed to help through that situation. Well, and it was probably one of the first times that really happened.
I think, too, lots of times, like I said, with families that go through this, there's two ways of thinking about this. There's I wouldn't say abandonment, but kind of when you're not there, non-presence. You're physically not present and you're mentally not present. And you kind of have to come to terms with both of them. I think in my case it was the first period of that, because of all the, again, we've explained all the going through my own career ending and all the things that are getting confronted as me as a young man, the responsibility of being a husband, which, you know, was hard, and it's hard for any of the young couples. And now the challenge of, you know, so physically I was there, you know, okay, I'm going to provide for you, because that's the way I saw it growing up. Okay, I'm going to provide everything you need, okay, for the house, you know, and your mom going to take care of the
Everything else.
care of the children. You should be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gone, okay, but not fully understanding that the two, the physical and the mental, the relational part has to be together, to be there. Once that kind of like, hey, this is, you know, I have to put aside everything that I wasn't taught and learn this is the way it is, and this is what you need to do. And I think, again, just drawing the Lord progressively and in some cases, you know, kind of emphatically said, no, this is what you got to do. This is it.
Yeah.
And do it. And it was at that time, I think it was when you're right. It was like, okay, got to dive in here.
Yeah.
This is it, and you know, reality of that. It was because no more there's some stability coming within the house. I was around more. If a college coach can be around more, because the recruiting and stuff was
we had more flexibility with
we still
Coy.
had a lot more flexibility.
He could go more.
And that I could spend more time with him.
Yes.
And started to be able to take him with me, you know, to the field.
So your relationship with him started to grow.
So there, and then it was, you know, then I think that was when we got stronger and stronger in resolve for each other, and for we're gonna beat this thing. We're gonna beat it in a way of helping Coy to live a normal life.
Right. And also when you started to jump in and engage and take Coy and start to go do things with Coy more frequently, it freed up some time for me if I needed to take a nap. Most every child with special needs, particularly autism, really one of the top characteristics is the sleeping disorder that we haven't even talked about yet. But I mean, he just didn't sleep at night, and so somebody had to be up with him all night long, and of course that somebody was me. And so I, for the first 15 years of, you know, parenting him, I maybe operated on 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night, which
we traded off some, but you again, if you take the time that I was away, you know, it was, you know, just way uneven.
Yeah.
Way uneven.
But when those days came and Coy could go to the baseball field with you, and the relationships he had with those Liberty University boys, I mean, that was just all God. But we had like 30 baseball players ready to babysit at any time. But when that started to happen, you know, and all the pressure wasn't on me, and all the parenting wasn't on me, and I had that little freedom, because you were, you know, you would be home a week then gone a week, so you would step aside from it and you'd get that relaxing downtime, you know, whereas I never had that. And so when I started to have that, of course, that started to heal me.
The many phone calls, I was thinking, what you doing? I'm gonna go play golf today with the other coaches. And she's like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Why would you do that?
You gotta sit in a hotel room. I'm not doing it. You're not gonna do it.
This is true. It's all true. Like, I expected when you would leave that you had to have the same schedule. No, you don't just get to go have fun. I'm changing diapers. This is very true. So, but when things started to change, and I started to have some sleep, I you know, a rested mom is the best kind of mom, and everybody will tell you that. And so that's when things started to get better for us, because then I started to feel like, you know, you were there for me, and you were concerned about me, and you were gonna do what you needed to do, you know, for my health as well as for Coy's health, and you know, Ellison and things. And that's the involvement that you made into everything is one of the greatest reasons why we stayed together, because I don't think I could have made it much longer by doing it all by myself and just having you as a bystander. I mean, I had enough bystanders in my life. I didn't need any more. So I do think that you probably turning the corner and then just deciding in your heart that, you know, these are my people, and this is what God has given me, and this is what I'm going to be held accountable for. And you jumped in and you changed things.
Yeah.
You said it was all me, but it really truly wasn't. It was you jumping in.
Yeah, and I think that's the what's necessary, obviously. But I think in the relationship, the dad is so important.
Mm-hmm.
That for the emotional support and physical, obviously, but the challenge to overcome the denial as a father, you're gripping, because again, Coy was our firstborn,
Mm-hmm.
And all the aspirations every dad has. Okay, guy's son, he's gonna follow, he's gonna do all these great things, and then you're confronted with no. Here's the reality that you have is that you've been given this precious baby boy, but he's gonna have it really hard, and so you deal with all those emotions of what you wanted, okay, and then learning to go, all right, I have to accept this in the sense of those things aren't possible, but let's see what is,
Right.
and push him towards to have the happiest and the best life that he can, and forget my own expectations, because that's when we get in trouble anyways. When we start
Good point.
start taking God's expectations for Coy, or plans, and that's why we use Jeremiah 29:11 for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and to give you a hope in the future.
Right.
Okay, when we start invading that, then we get in the way. And
Right. It's
and
the
again,
ingredients for failure.
It's the sacrifice of going, it's not mine, it's what does God have planned for him, and then trusting, and then allowing the Lord to equip you to help find that way for him.
Right.
And I think that was kind of we can look back now and kind of say, well, that's what happened.
Right.
But when you're
I feel
living
like this ring light is tanning me because my lips are burning.
Because when you live it, it's way more difficult,
Right.
But I just encourage all the fathers there as you. It's inevitable when you get the diagnosis or realize that something's not there, to immediately take it to the Lord and go, Lord, let this not attack me, because it's not about me, it's about him.
Right.
It's about him and what you want for him, and all those things, and don't go down the pity party road.
Right. Bad road. Get off that road.
Yeah, it's a dead end street.
That's the road Satan's he's gonna lead you right to it.
He's gonna lead there.
You gotta keep your eyes open.
And say, you know what? No, I'm not gonna go there.
Because who are you pitying? Are you pitying yourself that you have to become selfless now, and you have to give up more of yourself for this child that you brought into the world? Are you pitying the fact that, oh, you can't take great vacations, it's hard, we can't go out to eat with our friends because we can't get a babysitter? What are you really pitying? Like, what is the root to wanting to go down that pity party road? And for us, it was really all of those things. Like, oh, what are people going to think of us? I mean, oh, now we're not going to fit into the crowd.
They did. We can have another video about public perception.
Yes.
Handling the you walk into a room, people start leaving, to people start talking, people start whispering, taking
pointing,
questions, and all those things,
rolling their eyes, folding their arms, like, you guys gonna do something about your kid, So all those things.
And just getting over it.
Get over it, because you know what? When you start to feel that way, as a mom or as a dad, you know what? Why don't you look at your kid, and why don't you think of what they could be pitying right now? Like for us with Coy, like, I'm pretty sure he doesn't enjoy us having to give him a shower or helping him brush his teeth or making every meal for him. He's really at our mercy.
Yelling, I'm done.
I'm done to have, for his day off poop.
Yes.
But it's, parenting in general is about making sacrifices and living a selfless life for the rest of your life. And parenting a special needs child, you know, again, just adds a lot more to it, but it can be done.
And I think you'll see that over time what we've experienced because of just the way that we've been able to approach the whole thing. The challenges start turning more into joys.
Yes.
Because we've seen so many of the challenges turn into joy through Koi, and just how letting him blossom and seeing what comes out of him, and how he gets joy from so many things, and how he brings joy to so many things. That's why we say, and you can see it on our YouTube there. Well, we don't call Koi as having autism. We say he's awesome-tistic. He's awesome-tistic because Koi is awesome, and anybody meets him and spends any time with him would say so as well.
Right. Today we want you to know that we likened our relationship as the cord of three, husband, wife, and the Lord. And I want you to remember that in your child, the cord of three is mommy, daddy, child. And there's strength in a cord of three. If you think of a braid, it's braided, and there's just strength and stability and durability in that cord.
Yeah, and just as Jan alluded to just a little while ago, about how when we were holding on to the Lord, as she's swinging this way, I was swinging that way, eventually the Lord started enwrapping us,
right?
And making that cord
stronger,
come together,
right?
So our ways weren't going apart; they were actually getting woven to where it cannot be broken.
And that's why it's so important that you battle for your marriage too, and you battle for your family. And having a diagnosis of a special needs child is not meant to be Satan's weapon to tear apart your family, though he will try. It's meant to be a blessing to the world. It's meant to be a message to the world. And we are just learning that we're 28 years down the road. Actually, he'll be 29 at the end of March. We're just really grasping the full journey and the full message. And we see that there is a message, and that's why we're doing these videos. We are not perfect parents. We have never been perfect parents. And but we want to encourage you to reach out to us. What is it that our kids said? Hit that bell notification and subscribe. That was Slugger. We're not very good pet owners.
But yes, please, we encourage you. We want to be here for you. Just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page, and also follow on Instagram and TikTok.
And if we can encourage you or pray for you or pray for your marriage, comment below. We'll be glad to. We'll be glad to petition for you and battle for you as well.
Yes.
Thanks. And I'm tan. Look at this light tan in me.